we can get cracking with this. So, hi again, everyone. This is episode 15 of Quarantine Fitness and Life. This is a platform that I created to sort of help people with their physical fitness during these lockdown times, but also to help us understand how to take control of our lives in general, not just in lockdown, but even outside of lockdown. And this is why I've got my lovely guest here, because she's definitely someone with a can-do attitude. So with that, I just want to pass over to you to say who you are, where you're from, and what you do, and then we can sort of like get cracking with this.
Yeah, no worries. So hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Smith. I'm actually McGregor, so my family originates from Scotland, so you probably know some McGregors.
Nice, love it.
I live in what I call the cold part of Australia in Victoria.
Okay.
That is probably not as cold as what you guys call cold.
Yeah.
I work in local government and have 2 kids and currently studying to be a PT.
Yeah.
I've always liked the fitness game and been involved in my fitness and enjoyed being healthy and going to the gym and that sort of thing, but probably more prominent in the last 2 years. I've really pushed the boundaries with my whole fitness and everything since having my kids. And it's been, it's become quite a passion to me now that I've sort of been able to take on my own journey, and I've done the kid thing, and I'm allowed to, or I'm now moving on to the fitness side of things.
Brilliant, yeah, and that is really why I sort of got you on here, because I think your journey is something that a lot of people will take inspiration from, to realise that in the end of the day, it actually comes down to us to take the steps to go after what we actually really want in life. You really are a true sort of embodiment with that, and this is why it's been great that we've even been able to connect as well, for me to even see this. So even with that, I mean, I was even saying just before that, in the UK, we've been under lockdown for around about 12 weeks now, so it's been quite a long time for us, and we've had no access as well. So I don't think it's been as bad as that for you guys in Australia, but what have you really been doing to sort of like keep yourself physically and also mentally sort of like active and well during your lockdown times? And actually, how has lockdown sort of like, how long has it been where you are?
So we sort of, I vaguely can remember it all happened very quickly here. We were literally one day at work, and the next we were taking our computers home, setting ourselves to work from home, and gyms were closing. Everything sort of happened overnight, so it was quite overwhelming to us. And like, I don't know if you heard, I think you guys were affected as well with people stealing, not stealing, but buying out all the toilet paper. It was like that with gym equipment. It was like that with gym equipment here. We couldn't get our hands on gym equipment, and a big thing for me was I was so heavily reliant on a gym environment. I paid memberships to 2 gyms, and I was so heavily reliant on actually utilising the gym space, and that's how I was, it was my outlet every day. So coming straight to home, and I literally became a teacher, mum, I was studying, I was working from home, everything sort of happened overnight, and it was so overwhelming. I needed to make sure that my mental health was in check with continuing my fitness journey, because for me, it's like clarity for me. If I can get out for an hour and just let off some steam and go to the gym and get my exercise done for the day. So I came home, I literally had 2 4-kilo kettlebells in my shed. That is all I had to my name when this all went to lockdown. And I had to think outside of the box. And for me, it was like, what can I lift? What is heavy? I went out to my husband's shed, and I'm like, what is heavy that I can lift? I'm going to just make the most of this time and lift whatever I can, basically. And by the first couple of weeks, I was pulling the car down the driveway. That's how intense it got. It was just literally looking for progressive overload, because that's what I was doing within the gym space.
Yes.
And I needed, for me, I'd come so far, and I honestly couldn't go backwards for my headspace, and honestly how far I'd come at just in general. Like, I'd literally come leaps and bounds with everything, basically. I've just changed my whole perspective on life by going through this journey, I suppose. And I literally have used everything I possibly can since since we've come home, as gym equipment, as replacements of gym equipment. And I just made stupid little videos that kept people entertained, because they were like, well, what is she going to lift next?
Exactly. And one of those that you actually did do, which I thought was hilarious, and this will show to the viewers like why it's actually about being creative. You actually did a single arm row with your kid, didn't you?
Yes, I did, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was like they had braces or something, or if you had them in a child seat and then you rode them. I can't remember what it was, but
I literally picked them up by the coat. It was literally by the coat.
That right there shows someone who is determined to get things done. But no,
Wow.
with what you sort of said there, I mean, there's a few things I sort of want to pick out there. I think the first one really is quite important. And I wrote fitness, and then I'd put an arrow to mental health. How much do you feel that, even though you view the gym as an outlet for you, which I think a lot of people, and I think it's what a lot of people sort of, especially ones that are watching this, have maybe struggled during lockdown, and ones that their gyms are still shut, that not being able to go and train, it makes them feel almost isolated, because that was almost like their place. How important do you think recreating that type of atmosphere outside of the gym, in your own home or even outside, how important do you think that is to our mental health, so that we can stay strong during this time?
Absolutely. I mean, even if I can't lift, like, because we've got terrible weather at the moment, so if it's raining or pouring outside, I make a mental note to at least get out and walk every day. Yes. If that's all I can do for the day, then it's just especially as a mum, you kind of need to put yourself, as much as I love being a mum, I'm a lot more present when I allow myself that time to have that downtime to myself, have some music blaring through my ears, have, that time to myself that I can literally just let off some steam. I can walk back in the house and I'm more present with my kids. I find, especially with the lockdown, and we're going into our winter over in Australia, I've found that, we get what we call the winter blues terribly, because we're locked up, and especially with the likes of being in lockdown, we can't get out and have that outlet. Yeah. And I think everyone just needs to allow themselves that time more than anything, to be more present with themselves or their family or whatever it is. Because I mean, even if you're living alone at the moment, it'd be lonely, like terribly lonely at the moment. And to have fitness as and I know it's really hard to explain to people until you sort of get going, but I mean, motivation isn't in our genetics. It starts after we've got going. So that motivation doesn't come until we start moving. And the way it makes you feel, that what people want to feel, and those endorphins, you actually don't get it until after the fact. There's a lot of days that I get up, or, there's a lot of days that I don't want to get out and I don't want to get trained because I've had a hard day. My kids didn't sleep last night because they've been unwell, or whatever it is, that mentally is draining and exhausting. I have to push myself that little bit to get going in order to feel better afterwards, and to have that because mentally it is draining to have all this happening all at once. And it's so hard because everyone did rely on gyms and that was their outlet. And but realistically, there is so much, if you want it bad enough, there is so much that you can do to continue your fitness if you want it bad enough.
Exactly. And I 100% agree with everything you said there, because as I said, I have had 12 weeks without gym access, but I'm still keeping my shape here. So
yeah, absolutely.
It just comes down to, if you want to make it happen, using the tools that are available, using people that can give you the knowledge that can help you train at home or whatever. But I think the key thing that you sort of said there is that you needed to make sure you took some time for you, so then you could give back to your kids, your husband,
absolutely,
other people you come in contact with. And it's a phrase that one of my previous guests, Aaron, I think it was episode 3, if I remember correctly, and he said something like, you've got to fill your cup up first before you can fill up the cups of others. The thing is, it sounds selfish, but it's not, because even when you're in an airplane and let's say there's an emergency, they tell you to put your mask on first before you put on the mask of your child.
Absolutely, 100%.
So is that something that you really agree with in that sort of sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've always said, and it's a big line that I always use, at the end of the day, you're in a life sentence with yourself. You're basically handcuffed to yourself until you're put in the ground. As bad as that sounds, you're in basically a life sentence with you and you only. And I also did find that I became hit so many goals and fitness goals and things like that when I was a little bit selfish in terms of, okay, I needed to do this for me. Yeah. And I'm definitely way more present in my family life, with my kids, by allowing myself. And look, I say I'm lucky in a sense, and I know this is terrible to say, but I've got a very supportive husband. So I just basically need to say, I need an hour. I need to go to the gym. This is my time, and he's 100% there for me. And I think I've been married twice, I'll just put that out there, and can tell you now that the second time round with the support makes life so much easier if you have that support there, and you can be the best that you can be when you've got someone in your corner backing you 100%.
100% agree with that, and I think that there is a quite an important point to put out here, because as you said, I mean, you've got your full-time job working in the government, you have got your kids, you've got this situation that you need to deal with in terms of COVID lockdown. No, you've got your partner as well. It's like there's a lot of things to juggle here, and also you're trying to really improve with your fitness, which is something that you have made leaps and bounds on, and I know you're going to continue making leaps and bounds on. These are a lot of things to juggle. If you do not have the support, even with the best will in the world, it's going to be very hard to achieve these sort of things. You've got all these plates you're spinning. And I think that's the point that people need to sort of appreciate, that we shouldn't need to be trying to do all this ourselves, because we can't do this ourselves. We need to get either guidance, knowledge, or just someone letting us being able to take a few things off our plate so we can get other things done. Because as you said, that when you've had that time for yourself to train or even go out for a walk, how do you feel once you've done that?
Oh, this is the hardest thing you can ever explain to someone. It changes your whole. You're motivated for the day. You basically set up for the day once you train, or once you've you may not have felt it 5 minutes ago, but the minute you finish that training session, it's just an awesome feeling. It's really. It is really hard to explain, especially when you're doing it consistently, the way that it makes you feel. And I will 100% own going into lockdown and everything that's happened. My fuel, my nutrition has definitely lagged in the sense of how I'm fueling my body. And even with the whole nutrition side of things, like if you're not fueling your body correctly and you're not moving it every day, the way it makes you feel is like, well, I don't want to do anything. That's when your darkness starts to come in. I'm feeling crap. World's on my shoulders. I'm feeling awful. But it's something with these, literally endorphins kicking in when you're moving your body, the way it makes you feel afterwards. It's like clarity. It's like the fog's lifted. I'm feeling better. I can see sense to the day. A bad day was probably a bad 5 minutes, and I can move on and get on with what's going on for the day or what's going on tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. That's so important for me. I find when I don't train, Sundays are generally my ultimate rest day. I don't walk, lift, do anything. Mm-hmm. And I can almost guarantee that they're probably my highly emotional days on a Sunday. It's because I'm just not moving or having that time out that I've become so reliant on now, because it's just it's part of my daily routine. So
you hit the key word there, routine, and that's what I'll sort of move on to after this point here. But it's something you said about, like, I like to call this that fitness is front loaded, and this also includes mental fitness as well. And the reason I say that is we need to put in a bit of effort first before we get a little bit back. I almost call it being in maybe one of the early relationships that maybe we've all been in, where we've got a partner that maybe doesn't necessarily give us as much attention, but then that one little bit of attention that they give us, or that one little treat, they may take us out somewhere, they may give us pleasure, but it almost makes it all worth it just because of that little return that you get. That is what physical fitness is like, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it has taken over, a period of time to get to that point. Absolutely. It hasn't come overnight. Definitely hasn't come overnight. It was a hard yakka at the start, but biggest thing I've missed is the gym.
Yeah. I'm not surprised with that at all. And you did talk about how if all you're doing is not really feeling your body right and you're not moving, that it just almost puts you in that sort of lazy mentality. But then when you start moving and start eating in a way conducive to you trying to achieve your goals, then that actually makes you feel more motivated to keep on doing it, and then things seem to click a lot easier. The thing that's so funny about that, and this is what I said about it being front loaded, that shows that things only get better when we decide we want better and take the action. And that's why it's upon us to make sure that we put in the right sort of action. So if all we do is just sit about, eat whatever junk that's there, but we have ambitions to improve, then those things can't match together. We need to then start taking actions and change, and then when we do that, then we start making the ball roll in the right direction. And you've talked about how even on your rest days that you feel almost that emotional pull to almost make you go back to what you used to. But
absolutely,
because of that, do you not think that almost is a reminder to keep you motivated to go, I need to get back on what I'm doing?
Yep. Absolutely, 100%. Back on track by Monday.
And then the key word that you sort of said before, that was routine. How much do you feel having your routine, not even necessarily around training, but around your nutrition to a degree, how much do you feel that's helped you during this difficult time to keep yourself mentally there and just to be able to get through how things have been?
Well, with the nutrition side of things, I've only just recently gone back to tracking. So I've got a goal. Tracking is almost like a goal in itself. You've got your calories there. If you're constantly punching in what you're consuming, you're more mindful of what you're fueling your body with. And I found that I needed to get into that routine again during lockdown, because we've had so many days that we've just been like, oh, we'll just eat this, or we'll just have this, or well, at the start we couldn't even get some things at the supermarket, so it was literally just making do with what we had, basically. It was kind of a bit of a crazy time and uncharted waters for us, that we generally prep our meals and they're in a freezer. We only sort of make our kids' meals. But going back to sort of comfort food because we're not feeling that great.
Yeah.
And look, and 100% give people credit for that at the moment because it is something that nobody's ever experienced before. And a lot of emotions are playing at the moment. And also too, because it happens so quickly and, you know, the news is awful and there's people dying all over the world. It's the unknown to us. You know, what's going to happen, you know. I mean, we are about to ease off most of our restrictions, but in our state last night we had 20 cases, which is probably nothing to what you guys are experiencing overnight. It's, you know, I mean, to us it's like an ant in our population, but still, at the time when we all sort of went into lockdown, it was like, well, what's going to happen? This, you know, there was talks that we were going to be stuck at home till Christmas time, and hopefully we don't have that second wave. So at that stage, we were sort of, I found comfort eating. You know, it was reaching for things that made us feel good because that's generally that's why people eat crap, is because it's, you know, for 5 seconds it might make them feel good, but the after effects is not great. And that's the way I was sort of feeling. I was like, I'm sick of feeling like crap. And I had, to be quite honest, I was starting to get quite depressed, and really down about the whole situation. And the last couple of weeks I was like, right, I just really need to kick things back into action. I need to track what I'm eating and just be, and that's literally just mindful of what I'm consuming. And I find that a little bit of a tracking just goes a long way in so many levels. It sort of sets your goals for you if you're just making sure that you're making note of, you know, what you're having for the day. It just gets you thinking about your portions and everything and how you're actually fueling your body. And I've definitely noticed in the last couple of weeks, just by changing things up, that mentally it's like that fog is lifted. You can sort of see things a little bit clearer. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I think this will all be over soon enough. We will go back to some kind of normality. I mean, our gym's open on Monday, so yay. It's, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel and it's something to get excited about. But I mean, anywhere in the world, I think, you know, this is only what might feel forever will only be a short period of time. And we do need to give ourselves a little bit of credit for just getting through right now.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a few things I did want to sort of talk about, especially with the tracking as well, but just before, because of what you said and how you linked it, do you feel that us now being in lockdown almost gives you, and especially with you now being a trainee sort of personal trainer, because you want to be able to do this sort of as a career, do you feel that now with the world being in lockdown, that almost gives a good analogy for what it's like to try and really get in shape, in the sense of we just need to get through it to get that light at the end of the tunnel, being the physique we want and the health that we want, because not every day is just going to be straightforward and happy, but we just need to get through it, and by getting through it, we're going to get that light at the end of the tunnel, because it just means we need to do some sort of changes to get there, because you've just said there that one little thing that you've probably done a few things, but one sort of major thing that you did there was, after not feeling that great, you went for the comfort food, which is perfectly fine because this is tough situations for everyone. But you got to a point where you're like, I'm sick and tired of not feeling great, and what I'm doing to feel my body isn't actually not only not making me feel great, or if it is, it's doing it for 5 seconds, but it's now starting to affect it does make me more lethargic. I'm not even liking how I'm even looking now. So I need to change. And it's that point there that you went, let me go into tracking. So that one little change has now put you on this path here. So how important do you think it is for people that want to actually, even if it's physical fitness, you want to improve that and get on track with that, but even just in life to actually say, I want more for myself, that actually making a change is so important. Why do you think that sort of like thing is something that people really need to consider and take action to do?
Well, I think it's the onus, it's on you. If you don't make that change, no one's going to do it for you. And with my whole fitness journey, that was my turning point for me, because I was like, nobody's going to do this for me. I need to make that change. I had so many ups and downs prior to this all, the last 2 years basically of my fitness journey. And I literally had a snap out of it moment, and it was like, if I want to see change in feeling better, being a better person, I've not always been a people person, so to change, hey, in some sense, lockdown has been great for me. Sorry. Socially, it's been good in some sense, but just to be a better person, to be less angry and less, because so many things annoy me in the world, and that's got nothing to do with me. That's, and it's just kind of putting all that rubbish aside and go, okay, well, if I make the change, I can do it for myself. And like I said, you're in a life sentence with yourself forever. So that's where I think the change needs to come from, is you've got to want it. It's a mental game. Yeah, exactly. If you aren't dealing with those, we're like an onion basically. If you're not dealing with those underlying layers, you're not going to see the progress that you want, because you're not dealing with what's going on inside. And that was me definitely 2 years ago. I needed a kick up the bum, and was like, okay, well, was having, with my first child, I struggled with postnatal depression. Second time around, I wasn't going to let that happen again. So I was like, I need to make this change for me. And it was a mental battle with saying, okay, well, no one can make that change but me. I need to make that choice and set little goals. It was all about setting little goals instead of setting goals for 10 years down the track. It was deal with today, deal with the first kilo loss, deal with, fitting into that dress, deal with, little short-term goals to basically chip away at that mental barrier, because it was always the mental game that set me back, because it was always like, I can't see it on the scales, I can't see it in my clothes, I can't see it in this, can't see it in that. I set up a Facebook page literally to motivate myself. That is all I have ever wanted from my Instagram page. Even a social media platform is, I needed an outlet, and to me, Instagram was great because it was like, I can take a photo, and you know what? That memory is going to come up every year or every 6 months or whatever. I can go back to it and go, look how far I've come. And that has been a big motivator for me.
I mean, first of all, thanks for sort of sharing all of that, because I really hope that people watching this will really sort of see why it is truly within themselves and why it needs to be something they need to do to try and make the changes that they want. But the key thing that you sort of said there, and it was something that I wrote about before when you talked about tracking, is how important then do you think is being accountable to yourself, or even having someone to be accountable to, in order for you to make any change you want to have, even be it in your physical fitness journey or be it because you want to change career, which to a degree you're trying to do right now, how important do you feel it is to have some sort of accountability? In what ways do you think people can gain accountability to make sure that they actually get the end result they're looking for?
100%. I mean, I would strongly recommend, if someone is in a rut, to reach out to a online coach or a fitness coach to start them on their journey. Because to me, I needed still guidance to what I was eating or my workouts or everything just in writing for me to just get going. I definitely needed, to me, and it doesn't work for a lot of people, but for me, I needed things in black and white. I needed it written out for me to go, eat this, do this, work out this is a muscle group you're going to be training today. And I did that for 6 weeks, and it was enough to get me into a routine to continue. And that's all I needed. And I was told by the coach that I took on at the time, or I did an 8-week shred to start with, and the biggest piece of advice was, don't be so reliant on the scales during this time, but to take photos. And that was literally when I started my page, because I wanted to compare, and then it just became an addiction. It was like, wow, look at this change, like in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And it has been now just, it's like, awesome, what can I do next? What can I do? Even in terms of eating, like up and down like a yo-yo, I've learnt to get to maintenance weight and to maintain maintenance, to bulk a little bit, to shred. And that was something that I was clueless to prior to this. And just to have someone to check in and give you also the motivation and how are you doing and do you need help with this? All of that, I believe, and everyone is different. Some people don't like that push. I definitely prefer to have someone in my corner going, hey, you're doing awesome, let's do this, or let's try this. But having a coach in that sense is definitely motivation in itself. But hold yourself accountable and write those goals down. So that's a big one for me too. I just sort of always say to people, what's your goal? Is it achievable? And give it a reasonable time frame. So you don't want to, you can't lose 10 kilos in 2 weeks. Be, a little bit more realistic with the goals that you're setting. And
brilliant.
I think if you have that and you're constantly writing things down or taking photos or whatever it is, the way that you track your progress, it's motivation in itself. And like I said, it becomes an addiction to stay consistent and to see those changes just by recording your progress, basically.
So everything you said there is brilliant, because you've actually really shown the actual inner workings of actually how a change happens. So, and I think this is what people gloss over when, let's say, they may even go into your page and see, oh, Steph started that, but now she looks incredible. How did that even happen? You've sort of explained here how that's happened, and do you feel having, to use the word again, the great word, routine, do you feel having that routine, which was laid out by your initial personal trainer, but do you feel that having a routine and understanding what to do to gauge your progress, do you feel that in itself was the thing that helped keep on relighting your motivation? Or even when you had days where you went, oh, this is tough, but I want to see how I look in 2 weeks' time. Do you feel that having that was really what made this a lot easier for you?
100%. And also a big thing too is having the mentality that you don't get up in the morning and go, oh, we're going to train today. No, I get to train, and this is the time that I'm going to train. It's in my diary, or I've sorted it out with my husband because he's trained in the morning or I'm training at night. You know, we've worked it in our daily routine to make it just something that we're doing. We're not getting up and going, oh, maybe after work I'll feel like I'm going to train. It's no, I'm going to work and then I'm going straight to the gym. I'm going to work and I'm going to have dinner and then I'm going to go to the gym, or get up in the morning and go to the gym. It's never that thought process, and that's one thing that I had to change, to just make it a part of my daily routine. And it was, otherwise you're trying to find the time to do it. And people say, I don't have the time to do it, or I can't do it, or I've got kids, or, you know, and I know that there's single parents out there that struggle. But a big thing for me is I actually found a mum and bub class so I could take my toddler with me. When I first started, because I was like, I need to be made accountable here, because if I start missing days, I'm really going to struggle with continuing this. So it definitely came down to, I'm up to 6 days a week now training, which I never was at sort of that 6 day training mark. And that's only because I enjoy it. But I'd sort of have those days set. So I'd have a Wednesday and a Sunday off to start with. And it was always my days off. And then I would literally put down what I was training on the other days. Okay, so Monday's leg day, Tuesday's this, so I'm walking, you know, going for a walk on this day. And it was never a question of what I was doing. It was like, okay, well, I'm getting up and that's what it is. That's what I'm doing today. I'm going at 7 o'clock tonight. That's my gym slot.
Yeah.
It was late.
Yeah, and you said the word there again, accountability. I mean, if we're going to be able to achieve anything in life, if we want to change career, start family, develop our physiques and figures, be healthier, that starts with us. So it comes down to what can we do to make it easier for us to be accountable. And I think this is the angle that a lot of people don't think about. They just think, oh, I want that. Okay, that's cool. How are you going to get that? And to get that, we need to be accountable. And you've talked about there how even with your toddler, you could have easily had the excuse of going, well, I've got a kid, I don't have the time to do it. But you looked at it, instead of going, what can I do? You looked at what can I do, and this is where you found this sort of like class that you could take your toddler to so you could do the training you need. And you also said about that it's not, oh, I've got to train today. When you woke up, you went, right, I get to train, or it's not even that now. Because you've scheduled it in, that's your day to train, you just get it done. And it's the same with everything. When people go to work, they don't just do things as they feel like it. Because if that's what we did, we probably wouldn't get much done, would we? But we've got generally tasks or things to do for that day or that week, and we know we need to get through them. Yeah. So really, is what people do in their jobs, in terms of the thought process, is that much different to what they need to do in terms of trying to improve their physical fitness if they're serious about getting through the process, do you think?
No, absolutely not. And I honestly think, I even got to a point at home, like when all this sort of happened, and it was like, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to train? I don't have a gym. But I was sitting there going, you know, I can play the victim here and just be like, oh, I can't train for the next however long. I'm putting a roof over my limitations right now by saying, well, I could sit here and just do nothing, or I can get off my bum and find something that I can do to carry on with the fitness that I've already achieved. And that was the mentality that I believe I had to get into to continue during this time. Because I literally had 2 4-kilo kettlebells in my shed, and that was literally all I came into quarantine with. As a training PT who had to do assessments with styrofoam, pretend weights to get my pass. because I literally had no gym equipment.
Yeah.
It was it was a mental game, and it was on me the whole time.
Yeah.
And I think if you want it, sorry, I just think if you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen. And and it's hard as people don't want to hear it. People don't want to hear that they're being victimized, or they're put into this category where they made to feel lazy. But it's sometimes you just need that that push to go, well, you can do it. You really can. If you really want it, if you really want to see the change, there's 24 hours in a day. And as hard as and mentally draining as I have found everything that I've taken on board in the whole past 6 months, I've still found the time to get my training done.
And that pretty much sort of says it there. If you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen. Because, as you said, you've got your kids, you've got your job, you're training to become a personal trainer, you've got your partner, you still try to get your fitness in. There's not much hours in the day for all of that, but you're still getting it done, and you're even finding the time to even be in this chat here with me. So it just goes to show that all it requires, and this is what you said, is having a routine and planning things out, so then you can be accountable to your schedule. Because only when we can be accountable to our schedule, that guess what? Things actually get done. And when things get done, we get results. And it comes back to an acronym that I created over the word ACT, because we need to act to make things happen. But why? A, action. C, changes. T, things. And I'm pretty sure that you would be able to agree with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. And I just want to sort of quickly touch on one thing you talked about before, because I think it'll be quite useful for viewers watching this live and also when it goes on my YouTube. But you talked about onion layers in terms of what emotions, and I think you were sort of reading to think about that. If you don't really deal with what really is the problem, then you can't move forward, and you look for things that will give you that quick sort of satisfaction. And nutrition is probably one of the key things with that. The type of foods that generally people will turn to when they feel threatened or feel sad, they're not the type of foods that people would generally feel the need to turn to if they're feeling positive and feeling happy and feeling confident. But the thing is, those types of foods are not the stuff that's going to, even in the long term, make you feel better. So that's just one example. But how much do you feel that actually dealing head on with the issue at hand and trying to find an actual proper solution to that is where people fail in terms of their fitness goals, and just even how lockdown is, and just with other situations in life?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll put out an example. Probably, it's almost too much information, but the reason why this all come about is I struggled with infertility to get my 2 kids. And I had to go through fertility treatment. My hormones were up and down.
Yep.
I gained weight, lost weight. Every step of my journey prior to all my fitness goals coming to a head is I was always concerned that it was affecting, my chances of getting pregnant, or my chances of harming a baby, or it was always a mental battle with me in terms of that. And I found that when I had my son, and I was like, okay, well, this is now, I've had my family, and I need to now deal with, because it was a very traumatic time for me. I needed to deal with that, and I needed to put that aside and say, okay, well, I need to deal with the mental repercussions of that, and do something for me. And I did have to get a little bit selfish in a sense that if I don't deal with things that are going on and do something that makes me feel better, or I'm not going to be present with my kids. I'm going to be always traumatized by those past dealings. So I definitely have found that dealing with that trauma or dealing with the emotions of what was going on, and basically putting that aside and going, okay, well, I'm going to move on from this, or I'm going to deal with this, and this is the way that I'm going to have to do it, has seen me progress, emotionally, physically, mentally. I have changed dramatically in 2 years, and everyone that knows me is, I'm the sort of person, if I get something in my head, I stop at nothing until I get it. It's just something that I had to physically do to achieve the goals that I wanted to achieve. And I have seen it with people that I know. And it doesn't always come down to kids. It comes down to those emotions and being depressed. And, everyone's got something going on in their backyard. There's always something underlying that they're dealing with. And I've found that, you can always mask it. You can mask it, and you can try and go to the gym, or try and get healthy, or, whatever that's going to make you feel good. But unless you're dealing with that inside, those issues that are going on, you're really not going to see the progress that you really, really want. And whether that comes down to talking to someone, or getting help, or getting exercise, doing that daily routine of exercise, or what it is that you have to practice mindfulness, be present in the moment, and really deal with what's going on so that you can achieve those goals. It's a major thing, and it took me to sort of get the kick up the bum to see the changes that I needed to. I've probably just rambled on a little bit there, but to me, it was very, very important to deal with the underlying issues, to move on, and to see the changes that I wanted to see personally in my fitness, and even in my personality. Like, I've changed so much in the last 2 years, really. Everyone that knows me knows that I have.
and what I would really add to that is, I don't know how long I've known you on Instagram for. It must be, it might even be something like a year. I'm not even too sure, but what I see from you, and I don't know if you've always built this, maybe you have, but I see you as being a confident, witty, very articulate, but driven individual. And that's why I think for you, being someone who wants to be a personal trainer and training, you are exactly what the industry needs, because we need people like you to sort of help motivate others to be able to make the changes internally as well as externally that's going to enhance their life. So, we're coming up to sort of near the end of this chat. So, what sort of final words do you want to leave people with, in terms of, if they really want to improve their physical fitness and be able to change their life into something that they really want, but they just don't know how to achieve it, and they're just hitting their head against the wall thinking, is this truly possible for me? What do they really need to think about? What sort of actionable things do you feel they really need to think about doing to try and get that ball rolling?
I would honestly start with just little goals and what you really want to achieve. At the end of the day, it's really what you want to get out of it. Do you want to fit into that dress that you've got in the cupboard? Do you want to look good at a wedding? Do you want to impress that guy? Whatever it is, put that goal in writing. Read it every day. Take photos of yourself and look, you don't have to share it on Instagram. Not everyone wants to do that. and not everyone seems to like that, unfortunately. You do cop a lot of slack when you're actually trying to motivate yourself. But whatever form it is that you, I think, need, definitely, like I said, definitely take photos. But also ask for help. Like, there's so many avenues that you can take and it's overwhelming. A gym, to a lot of people, is a very overwhelming place. The minute they walk into the door, it's very, very overwhelming. You know, you've got all walks of life, people that are just starting their journeys, but people that have competed or, you know, they've been on their fitness journeys for years. So it can be quite intimidating. And if anything, I would put out that, you know, everyone's been in that boat before. Everyone has had to start somewhere. Even the people that have got on stage or, you know, that have been training for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, they've all had to start somewhere. They've all been in that position.
Yeah.
So, everyone, look, even the people that are as fit as anything or, you know, have got amazing physiques still find flaws in themselves.
Yep.
We've all got those insecurities and we're all going to, you know, nitpick out ourselves about little things that people probably would die to wake up tomorrow and have. We've all got those insecurities, and I think that if it's something that you want to do, it's just a matter of starting. And there is avenues that you can take if you want help. But there is also so many things that you can do for yourself to make yourself accountable.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail ahead with a lot of those there. And it, as you said, it really comes down to a few things. And it's, as you said, understanding what it is you want to achieve and understand truly why you want to achieve it. And then being able to put that into a routine that you can do every day.
Absolutely.
It's going to get you towards that thing that you truly desire to happen for you. But then also to give you that accountability so that you actually do what you said you want to do. If we BS ourselves, we're not going to get there. But then it comes down to the next part, and that's the bit that a lot of people do struggle with. Getting the help if they can't do it themselves. Because if you truly want to get there, you need to get the help. If you can't do it, it's great trying it yourself because it shows that you're putting action. But if you're not getting there, we need to get the help. Just like how if we want to learn how to drive a car, we get a driving instructor. So to help us actually pass the test.
Exactly right. It's exactly right. And I mean, I don't know what the gyms are like over there, but I mean, some of ours are $10 a week. You know, they're as cheap as $10, $15 a week to become a member. That might not be something that people want to do. I mean, there's all different avenues in terms of fitness that you can. And social media platforms are full of information. There's home workouts are blowing up like popcorn during this, you know, whole lockdown. There is so much at your fingertips, basically, and so much. We're in a world full of motivation. Wake up to an affirmation the minute you scroll on your phone of a morning. You will find something that will positive, if you want it, if you read it, you will find something that will keep you motivated every day if you want it bad enough. And I think the minute you sort of put it out there, the more it comes to you anyway.
Agreed.
You sort of you start attracting it anyway. And the minute I started, I was attracting, you know, people that were in the same mindset. People that wanted to achieve the same goals. You can find the right people out there that will be your backing support if you don't have it.
Yep, indeed.
Like you.
That's pretty much how I found you. And I think that's a sort of like great one to sort of end a really great positive note in the sense of people like myself, and even right now, people like Steph, and definitely when she's qualified, we're here to give you guys this sort of help and support you need in terms of not just your physical fitness, but your emotional fitness as well, so that you can achieve any challenge that you set out, because physical fitness is just the start. it's when you can achieve
Absolutely.
that, it makes you understand what you can achieve in life in general. So that's the beauty of all this. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this chat that I've had with Steph Smith, who is at Memoirs of Steph Fit Mum, a long one there, on Instagram. So I would urge you guys to give her a follow and see how she progresses in her fitness journey and her journey to becoming a personal trainer as well. So I'll have this up on my YouTube channel shortly, and it'll go onto my IGTV channel as well. So people who are just recently joining, you'll be able to watch the full live chat there. But yeah, I just want to thank you again, Steph, for
Thank
wanting to
you.
be part of this, because I think you've really given a great account of yourself, and I knew you would anyway, because I knew before you were slightly nervous for this, but
Very nervous.
but you've done fantastic, and you've given stuff which I think will be really useful to our viewers here. So yeah, as I said before, guys, give Steph a follow at Memoirs of Steph Fit Mum on Instagram, and that is the end of episode 15 this time, I said, with the lovely Steph, and
Awesome.
I'll see you on the next one. But thanks for that, Steph, and we'll speak soon, okay?
Yeah, thanks for having me. That's awesome.
No
Thanks so
problem.
much. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.